on, you guys? My name is Rage, and I am back today with another character legendary review video for you all. In today's video, we're going to be talking about right now the most recent release of Asteroid M event here, earning the ability to be able to unlock Magneto, the leader of the Brotherhood team. So if you guys haven't already, there's still 2 more days remaining, but in today's video, we're just going to talk about Magneto's skills, go through his T4, ISO 8, as well as where he is in the game right now, and overall, is he ultimately worth investing in as a character? So diving right in, you guys, this is my Magneto right now, as you can see here with the 31k. I do have him only at tier 9, but I was able to luck out with a 5 red here. So let's talk about his abilities before we start diving into the analysis. First and foremost, Magnetic Force. This is just going to be a simple basic attack, nothing too crazy about it. It is nice in the sense that his attack does chain for additional damage, so really good for just the additional damage around the character you target. Next, taking a look at his special, Polarized Beam. This is an attack where he attacks a primary target for said damage, not only applying the damage, but as well as a disruption for at least 2 turns, in addition to a slow, as well as removing 2 positive effects if you don't T4. With that being said here, if you were to T4 this ability, it does actually remove all positive effects. This is definitely a skill I highly recommend, especially if you guys utilize a strong Brotherhood roster team. This skill is able to not only cleanse those conditions, apply disruption, and a slow. So I mean, it's just honestly worth the level 6 to the level 7 upgrade to be able to go from removing 2 effects to ultimately removing someone that has like 5-6 benefits. A very obvious example would be Juggernaut. If he doesn't have his immunity on, you could really very well strip all of his conditions if you're up against another Brotherhood team. So definitely his special for Magneto, I definitely recommend in T4ing that if you guys are utilizing a Brotherhood roster. His ultimate, Magnetic Vortex. What this ability does is he actually pulls in all the enemies 2 spaces closer toward each other, and additionally, it's also unavoidable and cannot be counterattacked, and additionally applying a blind. Wow, this is a very signature skill. This is actually when I was starting in the game and I was up against Magneto, this is actually the first thing I noticed about Magneto. From the get-go, he would use his ultimate right in turn 1, and right from the beginning, all your characters are bunched together like a little ball, and they're blinded. So I cannot say enough good things about this ultimate ability, because he really does change the dynamic of the battle formation of the roster, because essentially when he uses this ability, it puts all 5 characters right next to each other, adjacent to one another, so that essentially anytime you use an attack, it's likely going to cause that splash damage that's able to impact all the characters around. So definitely, if this works hand in hand with a character that has really good AoE, this is really good, especially because it puts all the targets together. So not enough good things can be said about this ability. On top of that, being able to apply a blind from the very beginning, this is the key reason I bring him on board if I'm ever in PvP, just because if you have the ability to do that from turn 1, applying that blind, it really does set the opponent off guard. In addition, it really buys you time, especially with the 5 characters not being able to attack from the get-go unless they have an unavoidable attack. So really good for setting the stage and really setting the tone of a battle. That ultimate, however, looking back here from level 6 to the level 7, you do see that you get an additional 30%. And how I like to analyze the T4 upgrades is, how does it compare to the level 4, level 5, level 6? You do get an additional boost, but is this extra 30% something that I would consider and worth a T4ing? I don't know if I would place it in my priority list, especially if there's other passives and abilities part of your T4 roster for the Brotherhood that you can potentially upgrade. So for this one, I'm just going to stop at likely level 6 for now, especially if I level up my Brotherhood team, but I don't really recommend it doing so unless you really just want that extra umph of damage. Additionally, this attack, as you can see here, it does a decent amount of damage here, but it's not enough to be a notable amount of damage, so for you to see a impactful difference in a battle. So that's also why I don't recommend it. Last but not least, you guys, Magneto's ultimate, passive, the Brotherhood of Mutants. On spawn, he fills the speed bar of himself as well as per Brotherhood ally. In addition, any crit that the enemy causes, it's also applying a speed up to himself and the Brotherhood allies. if you were to use his ability as well, he also gains 10,000% resistance against taunt. His Brotherhood allies gains 10,000 resistance against taunt percentage. Gain 50% resistance. His Brotherhood gains resistance, focus, max health increase, as you can see here. All these benefits to his Brotherhood roster. This is 100%. This is a really key ability here in terms of being able to not only boost his Brotherhood allies, but as well as Magneto himself. And as you can see here, if you were to T4 this ability from level 4, you can see that they additionally just gain an extra increase in resistance, focus, as well as the max health percentage. So this right here is actually just given the upgrades, given the boosts that he does apply for his Brotherhood team. This is definitely something I would recommend, even if it's just, it's consistent with the previous levels here. But the thing is it's so hard to get an extra 10%. This is percentage based, so I mean that's just so much better than just that extra plus 40% on damage, right? You're getting that flat percentage rate applied across those characters, and that makes his roster overall better as well as himself. So 100% I would T4 that, just because of the fact that he not only boosts himself but as well as his roster. As for his ISO 8, I definitely do recommend the Raider here, just because of the fact that, in case you guys aren't aware, Raider works really hand in hand with applying additional vulnerability. In addition, Magneto's a character that has splash attacks, especially with his basic, especially with ultimate. Therefore, he can actually apply that vulnerability really good just because he has that, especially if he crits. So, as you can see here, it just really blends in with his style. I believe Raider is actually probably the best ISO 8 to be put on Magneto, unless you were just a theory craft and just, try to be creative with a team in terms of experimenting. But definitely the best in slot would probably be the ISO 8 for Raider. With that being said, you guys, overall Magneto is a pretty solid character. Taking a look here at the passives, at his abilities in the ISO 8, what he brings to the Brotherhood team. He also, just something to note as well, he actually brings a lot of synergy here to his notable comrade, let's see, Juggernaut here. As you can see here, if I were to dive into Juggernaut's abilities, part of his ability here is, I just gotta find it. If Magneto's an ally for Juggernaut, it also fills up his speed bar as well as all protectors on the team. In addition, this is something very notable, right? If Magneto's an ally for Juggernaut, Juggernaut also gains the taunt for 2 turns as opposed to 1. And as you can see here, whenever Juggernaut gains that taunt, he gains also immunity, defense up, death proof, regen. So I mean, the synergy is just absolutely unreal. Magneto's a great character, but it's really what he's bringing to the table to his Brotherhood roster that's really creating his value, right? So especially his ultimate, as you can see here, it takes about 6 energy to actually utilize it. And unfortunately, that's not a skill you're going to be able to utilize a lot in the battle, but if you can use it from the get-go, it sets the tone for the battle. And then the rest of his Brotherhood, especially the 2.0 guys, which would include Blob, Toad, as well as Pyro. The combination of all of them with Juggernaut and Magneto is really where that synergy comes from. And with that being said, let's talk about his synergy and utilization in the game. As a character, he's pretty rock solid, his kit, as you can see. But how is the Brotherhood team roster? I would say the Brotherhood team roster, especially if you guys are in war battles. This is it's kind of random, but it's just a random shell alliance that we're facing up against, so that's why it's 13-20-0, and I didn't mean to click that actually. But Brotherhood is seen as one of the top 5 war offense teams in the game right now, so he brings a lot of utilization for the team, for the roster. In addition, he's formidable in arena. If it wasn't for Black Order, if it wasn't for the fact that there's a symbiote in Black Order right now, you bet Magneto will be part of that top roster. It's unfortunate that, obviously, just because of how characters have increased in the game, Magneto's usage has just definitely gone down, but that doesn't take away his value. His abilities have still remained the same. He has very useful skills, especially in PvP. If from the get-go, you're able to blind all 5 characters on the opposing side, that just really sets a tone. I utilized him a lot when there were those milestones to really get those wins in terms of maximizing those milestones for the PvP. So definitely recommended. He's great in Alliance War. Additionally, he has a rock solid team that can be probably auto blitzed. Additionally, that war offense team, like I said, if we were to talk about the symbiote roster, Black Order, Inhumans, Asgardians, I would put up there with the Marauders. But additionally, the Brotherhood is definitely not a team that you can ignore. You know, it's definitely a team, a synergistic team that you have to think about and how to take down if you're up against them, especially if with the skills of his roster, right? So with that being said, you guys have always seen my comparison here, but I consider Black Bolt to be one of the most perfect legendaries in the game because he's a character where you essentially just want to T4 everything on him and be able to ISO 8 up to level 5 just because of what he brings to the table, giving Black Bolt a perfect 10 out of 10. In my previous videos as well, I've also talked about Invisible Women, where she has utilization all across different game modes. Very, very similar to Magneto in a different type of way. You know, Invisible Women's more so used for campaigns, whereas I would say Magneto is more used for strategy, you know, in terms of attacking in war, arena battles. Potentially, Magneto can also be used in raids if you want, but unfortunately, just due to his energy cost, it's not as sustainable. But I classified Invisible Women as 8 out of 10 and Black Bolt as 10 out of 10, just to kind of give you a reference point here. With that being said, where does Magneto ultimately stand in this game mode? Ultimately, I would give him a solid 8 or potentially 9 out of 10, just due to how much power and utilization he brings to his team. You know, unlike Invisible Woman, you know, she does provide really good sustain and protection, but Magneto really is the leader of the Brotherhood team. You know, as you see here, he is the leader. He brings the ultimate force in his team, and that synergy is all thanks to Magneto tying the dots together, making his team one of the best top 5, especially a top 3 war offense team. So there you guys have it. I hope you guys can feel good about investing in Magneto because it's exciting. He's a very formidable character. He's very well known in the Marvel Universe. Additionally, I'm glad Scopely and Foxnet have given him respect in the sense that he is a very formidable character to be utilized in the game, and I highly recommend investing in him if you guys haven't. Unfortunately, I just haven't had a chance to really boost up the Brotherhood team, but for sure, definitely on my to-do list for sure. So, as always, you guys, I do appreciate you taking the time to check out my videos. Hope this was able to provide insight as well as value for your knowledge, and as always, I'll see you in the next one.